It begins like an ordinary afternoon, calm and unshaken. Two people, one table. A simple meal that should bring comfort, but the air thickens quickly. What was meant to be peaceful turns sharp. Every bite feels heavy, every word loaded with meaning. They sit across from each other, but the distance feels infinite. No smile, no warmth, just silence growing louder by the second. A storm is waiting to break. Small glances cut deeper than any blade. Questions hang in the air, unspoken yet undeniable. Trust is fragile and the cracks are starting to show. Lunch was supposed to heal. Instead, it becomes the battlefield where truth collides with deception. The tension snaps like glass under pressure. What started as quiet hostility erupts into an open clash. One question, one accusation, and suddenly, the meal is poisoned. Yandy leans forward, her voice sharp as steel. She demands honesty. She demands clarity. No more excuses. No more games. Mendeecees pushes back, his tone colder than ice. He refuses to bend. He claims innocence. But his refusal only fuels her fury. Then it happens. A glass of water spills, not by accident, but by choice. The liquid splashes across the table, across his shirt, across the fragile piece that barely existed. The shock is instant. Silence falls heavy, but the silence is louder than screams. His eyes burn with anger. Her face trembles with rage. Neither is willing to step back. Neither is willing to surrender. What was once a meal has turned into a declaration of war. Every sip, every plate, every gesture is now soaked with hostility. She accuses him of disrespect, of betrayal, of making her look like a fool. He fires back, accusing her of dramatics, of overreactions, of pushing him too far. Their voices clash, echoing like thunder in a storm no one can stop. The fallout is undeniable. This isn't just a couple fighting. It's a partnership collapsing in real time. The spilled water becomes more than a mess. It becomes a symbol. A symbol of everything broken. A symbol of trust slipping through their hands. And as they glare at each other across the wreckage of the table, one truth is clear. This fight has gone too far to ignore, and the damage may never be undone. Beneath the shouting lies a fracture deeper than words. Not just anger, not just pride. It is betrayal, raw and unhealed. The argument may fade, but the wound remains. Trust shattered, love questioned, and the foundation of their marriage trembles in silence. Yandy's voice does not break, but her words cut through like glass. She confesses she is tired of carrying the burden alone. Not just the marriage, not just the household, but the constant weight of public eyes, judging, dissecting, twisting every move she makes. She reveals the exhaustion of performing strength when she feels fragile, the pressure of appearing perfect when cracks have already formed. Fans demand answers. Strangers demand loyalty. Yet inside her heart, she wonders if anyone sees the real pain she hides behind the smile. Her confession deepens. She admits there are nights she feels invisible. Nights she lies awake, questioning if her sacrifices mean anything. She gave her all to this union. She stood firm during his darkest trials. But now she asks, where is that same devotion in return? The atmosphere grows heavier. Her words echo like accusations, but also like prayers. She does not want pity. She does not want applause. She wants authenticity. She wants a partner who understands that strength without support eventually collapses. And she fears the collapse may already be underway. Then comes the sharpest revelation. Yandy confesses that sometimes the public's expectations feel like chains. She wonders if she is staying for love or staying to avoid headlines. And that question chills the air because once spoken, it cannot be unsaid. Her honesty is raw. Her tone is piercing. Every sentence strikes with the intensity of a woman who has reached the breaking point, not to destroy, but to force truth into the open, because silence has already stolen too much. And with that, the world sees Yandy not as the unshakable figure on screen, but as a woman trembling under the weight of public judgment, desperate to know if love can survive beyond the performance. The moment the clash hit the screen, fans exploded online. Comments flooded timelines, memes spread like wildfire, and hashtags ignited debates across every platform. Some defended Yandy, saying her pain was visible and undeniable. Others backed Mendeecees, insisting he was being unfairly cornered and judged without evidence. The digital world became its own courtroom. Amid the chaos, Mendeecees offered a small apology. But it was brief, hesitant, and far from convincing. Viewers questioned if those words were genuine remorse or simply damage control. For Yandy, that wasn't enough. An apology without proof felt hollow, like a bandage slapped over a wound still bleeding. Fans demanded more. They wanted transparency, clarity, undeniable truth. Posts turned ruthless. Show the receipts. Where's the loyalty? Why hide if there's nothing to hide? Each comment pushed the couple deeper under the spotlight, forcing the cracks wider. One side clung to forgiveness, the other demanded hard evidence. The line was drawn in the sand. Mendeecees spoke, but did not satisfy. Yandy listened, but did not believe. And fans, divided and relentless, waited for the next move. The argument doesn't just stay between them. Its impact ripples outward, striking the children first. Innocent eyes sense the tension. Even when no words are spoken, kids feel the cold silences. They notice the sharp tones. The family space that should bring safety now feels unsettled and fractured. Extended relatives are dragged into the storm. Old disputes rise from the shadows, grievances never fully resolved. Brothers, sisters, cousins, each has an opinion, each adding fuel to the conflict. The fight transforms into a family-wide struggle, where loyalty is questioned and alliances fracture. What started as a disagreement at the table becomes a generational echo. Yandy's pain is not only about betrayal, it is about carrying the weight alone, shielding her children, holding her dignity. She fears repeating cycles that have haunted other families before. Mendeecees, meanwhile, insists he needs breathing room. He calls it space, but to Yandy, it sounds like abandonment disguised as independence. The tension grows sharper when space collides with responsibility. Can a father pull away when his family is already breaking? Can a husband claim distance while his wife pleads for closeness? The questions strike like knives, slicing deeper than either expected. And in the silence that follows, no one feels safe anymore. The fight digs deeper than spilled water or harsh words. It is not just about one moment of rage. It is about years of wounds, cracks ignored, and trust slowly eroding. Beneath the shouting lies a foundation already weakened, built on secrets left unspoken. And now, everything threatens to collapse. Family dynamics tighten the pressure. Both sides carry history, and that history bleeds into the present. Relatives whisper opinions, old resentments reawaken, and invisible lines of loyalty divide the room. It is never just husband and wife. It is parents, cousins, siblings, all bringing their unresolved battles into the couple's storm. Trust becomes the sharpest weapon. For Yandy, it is fragile glass, already cracked by past betrayals. For Mendeecees, it is a constant accusation, a weight he claims is unfair. Every message, every phone call, every absence fuels suspicion. And each denial only makes her wonder more. Yandy insists love must be proven through consistency. Not grand gestures, not words in public, but daily actions in private that match promises spoken aloud. She believes the cameras catch a version of their lives, but not the truth. Behind closed doors, the reality feels far different. Mendeecees argues the opposite. He says the world is too quick to judge, too eager to condemn. He claims he cannot live constantly under suspicion. To him, the issue is not his loyalty, but her inability to trust. Yet that defense sounds more like deflection than reassurance. The show versus private life battle intensifies. On screen, the couple must perform. Fans, producers, cameras, everyone is watching, expecting drama, expecting passion. But once the lights go dark, the performance ends. And in the silence, their wounds are raw and unfiltered. For Yandy, the pain of pretending becomes unbearable. She questions why her public image must show perfection while her private heart suffers. She asks why loyalty cannot exist without an audience. To her, love should not require witnesses. It should survive when no one else is looking. Mendeecees counters that privacy is essential. He claims some truths are too delicate for public eyes. He argues that showing weakness only gives outsiders ammunition to attack. But in hiding, he creates distance. And that distance feels like another betrayal to her. The trust issues spiral further. Every late-night phone call sparks suspicion. Every unexplained absence feels like proof of deception. Even when no evidence exists, the doubt still festers. Because once faith is broken, every shadow looks like a lie. Yandy's frustration erupts in sharp words. She says she cannot be both wife and detective. She refuses to spend her nights piecing together puzzles that shouldn't exist. She demands transparency, complete and unfiltered. Anything less feels like manipulation, and she will not accept it. Mendeecees grows defensive. He says her constant questioning feels like an attack. He insists she creates problems that do not exist. But the tone in his voice makes her question even more. Because silence, to her, has always felt like guilt. The deeper cause is clear. This is not just about loyalty or betrayal. It is about power, about control, about who holds the truth. The imbalance poisons every conversation, every moment of silence. Neither can let go because letting go feels like surrender. Old grievances rise to the surface. Arguments thought forgotten return like ghosts. Times he failed to call. Times she refused to believe. Each memory becomes another weapon thrown into the fire, burning hotter with every exchange. The pressure of fame only sharpens the pain. The world watches, judges, and comments. Every slip becomes a headline. Every tear becomes a meme. And every fight becomes a spectacle, magnified for strangers who cheer for chaos. But beneath the cameras, they are still human. Two people, once in love, now caught in a battlefield of mistrust. They struggle to remember the softness that first drew them together. They search for the tenderness that fame has nearly erased. And in that search, they question if it still exists. The children remain at the center of the storm. Every argument risks shaping their future. Every silence echoes through young hearts learning what love looks like. Yandy fears they will inherit this brokenness. Mendeecees fears they will blame him for the fracture. The silence after the shouting is the loudest sound of all. Neither knows how to bridge the gap. She needs proof. He needs trust, and neither can find the balance between the two. This scene is not about one fight. It is about years of tension boiling over, a love tested beyond endurance, a marriage strained under fame, family, and fractured promises. And now, they both stand at the edge of a choice that could define everything. The storm cools, but not completely. In the middle of the wreckage, a small gesture shifts the air. Mendeecees reaches for the bill. It seems ordinary, almost trivial, yet in that moment it carries unexpected weight. It is a signal, a reminder that responsibility still matters. Yandy watches closely. She knows money isn't the issue. It never was. But effort is. Consistency is. And for her, even a quiet action can hold meaning. Still, she needs more than gestures. She needs promises that transform into reality, not words that dissolve once the cameras fade. The conversation pivots. They speak of commitment, of doing better, of proving love through action. Not someday, not later, now. Each word balances between hope and doubt, between healing and breaking again. And in that fragile exchange, a vow is reborn, uncertain but alive. The doors swing open, and the argument spills into the street. The city noise swallows their words, yet the tension follows them outside. Every step feels heavy, every silence louder than the last. They walk side by side, but the distance between them is undeniable. Yandy slows, her voice cutting through the air. She asks the question that lingers in both hearts. Is he tired of fighting? Is he tired of her? Or is he simply tired of pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't? Mendeecees doesn't answer right away. His pause says more than his words could. Exhaustion drapes over both of them. And in that moment, the truth is unavoidable. Love itself feels weary, strained, and dangerously close to surrender. They find a bench, the kind meant for rest, but tonight it feels like confession. The fight drains out of them, leaving raw silence. Yandy's eyes soften, her voice trembling not with anger but with exhaustion. She admits she is tired of the war, not for herself, but for the children. She speaks of peace, not as a dream, but as a necessity. She doesn't want her kids to grow up watching cold shoulders and broken promises. She doesn't want love to look like rage. Her words crack with vulnerability, each one spilling the weight of a mother's fear. Her heart pleads for simplicity, for gentleness, for calm. Mendeecees listens, and for once he does not interrupt. The defenses fade, and the hardness in his voice disappears. He admits he is weary too. Weary of the arguments, weary of the spotlight, weary of trying to balance the man the world sees with the man his family needs. They talk about the children directly now. About how laughter has been replaced with tension. About how silence has become their kid's teacher. And both know this cannot continue. If they destroy each other, they risk destroying the only people who truly matter. For the first time that night, their tones soften together. Yandy says love without peace is poison. Mendeecees says family without unity is broken. Different words, same meaning. Both confess they want to rebuild. Not for the cameras, not for fans, but for the ones calling them mom and dad. The park grows quiet, yet their voices linger heavy in the air. No solutions are found, no magic forgiveness spoken. But in the honesty of that moment, a door opens. A door toward vulnerability, a door toward a softer kind of fight, the fight to heal. Their phones begin to buzz, vibrating like unwanted reminders of the world beyond this fragile truce. Messages pile in, calls blink, notifications scream, but neither rushes to answer. For the first time in a long time, the outside chaos feels irrelevant compared to the storm they are finally facing together. Yandy stares at her screen, then sets it face down. She says the constant noise is exactly what tears them apart. Too many opinions. Too many distractions. Too many voices pulling them in different directions. Her voice sharpens, but not in anger. This time it's conviction. She wants focus. She wants promises kept, not words forgotten. Mendeecees exhales, leaning back as if the weight of history presses on him. He revisits the past aloud. The prison years. The long distance. The lonely holidays where Yandy carried the family alone. The bitter arguments when he returned, each fueled by resentment disguised as survival. His tone cracks, not defensive but remorseful. He admits the truth most men fear to say. He failed her in ways that flowers or apologies could never erase. But he insists that the man sitting here tonight is not the same one who walked out on responsibility before. His eyes fix on her, searching for a glimmer of belief. Yandy doesn't break down. She doesn't rush to forgive. Instead, she reminds him that promises mean nothing if not lived daily. She recalls nights where his words dripped with devotion, only to be shattered by actions that spoke otherwise. Her voice is steady, but beneath it lies a trembling hope. Then comes the pivot. Mendeecees reaches across, not with grand gestures, but with something simpler. He promises not to change overnight, not to erase the past, but to fight for the present. To answer the phone when it's her. To show up when the kids need him. To keep small vows, because small vows build trust again. The weight of those words hangs heavy, almost too fragile to touch. But Yandy nods slowly. Her reply is not dramatic, not cinematic, but painfully real. She says she will believe him, if his actions give her reason to. And for the first time in hours, maybe even months, the air shifts. Their buzzing phones remain untouched, ignored like background noise. Because in that fragile pause, history isn't erased, but rewritten. Hope doesn't roar, it whispers. And through that whisper, a promise is born. Not the promise of perfection, not the promise of fairy tales, but the raw, imperfect promise of two people trying, one more time, to keep love alive. The question rises like a knife between them. Do they need distance to breathe or closeness to mend? Yandy admits space feels safer but also colder. Mendeecees argues closeness could heal, yet it risks suffocating old wounds. Neither answer is perfect. Both carry risk, but slowly a fragile decision forms. Not space. Not suffocation. Effort. They agree to stay, not because it is easy, but because it is necessary. To share the same air, even when heavy. To choose commitment over retreat. It is not a fairy tale ending. It is not sealed with bliss. It is raw, uncertain, and trembling. Yet in that uncertainty, a quiet truth emerges. Both vow to fight, together. The car ride home is not silent. It is heavy. Every turn of the wheel carries the weight of what was said. For once, neither hides behind anger. Instead, they speak of repair. Not vague hopes. Not shallow vows. But concrete steps. Yandy names it first. Counseling. A mediator to break through the noise. To strip away the armor. To force honesty where avoidance has ruled. Mendeecees hesitates, then nods. He knows it will not be easy. He knows it will not be cheap. But he knows it is necessary. Then priorities shift into view. Yandy says the children must feel stability. They cannot live in chaos. They cannot grow in storms. Mendeecees agrees, but adds his own truth. They cannot keep performing for cameras while failing in private. The family must come first. Promises are spoken, not whispered. Counseling sessions will be booked. Date nights reclaimed. Phones put down when the children enter the room. Arguments paused before venom spills. And most of all, the promise to fight fair. Not to destroy, but to build. As the city lights flash past the windshield, the tone shifts again. No longer despair, not quite joy, but resolve. A recognition that survival takes discipline. That love demands structure. That passion means nothing without loyalty to the foundation beneath it. By the time they pull into the driveway, a fragile understanding holds them. Not perfect, not secure, but present. They are still willing to try, still willing to bleed if it means the family stands, still willing to work if it means the marriage survives. And now the question passes to you, the viewers. Do these promises feel genuine, or are they just another performance for the cameras? Can counseling truly rebuild trust, or is it too late? Would you stay and fight, or would you walk away before the damage deepens? Leave your thoughts below. Share your perspective. Because this is more than a show. It is a mirror, a reflection of choices we all face in love, loyalty, and survival. And remember, Every promise made in the dark must eventually prove itself in the light.